Hello everyone and welcome back to the Synergy Sanctum. My name is Justin. Thank you so much for stopping by. Here at the Synergy Sanctum, we specialize in all things related to Magic the Gathering, with a specific focus on deck building. So I aim to show you very quick deck techs that'll show you all of the cards in the deck and how they work together to ultimately achieve the goals of that deck. If you're not already, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. We really appreciate that. And we also have a sister channel now, so head on over to Commander Coliseum and check out their content as well. And for today's deck tech, we have another Halloween-themed deck focused around spiders and swarming the board with a ton of spiders, with Shelob, Child of Ungoliant at the helm. Shelob is a spider from the Lord of the Rings set, very, very strong commander for Spider Tribal here, and we're going to get into how this deck's going to work and all of the cards that are in it. So, Shelob has Death Touch and Ward 2, and she also gives other spiders you control Death Touch and Ward 2, which is pretty broken in itself, but she also has this other ability that whenever a creature dealt damage by a spider dies, which they will with the Death Touch, you get to turn them into a food token and they lose all the other card types, so really, really solid. Very affordable deck as well, so only $79 to $90 TCG market value. And the land count, we are running 35 lands, with 21 of those being basics and 14 of those being non-basics. So getting into the deck today, we are going to be swarming the board with a bunch of spiders, and those spiders are going to be attacking and making more spiders and turning all of the creatures into food. And it's pretty likely that they're probably going to connect on combat damage, because if your opponent's block, they're going to be losing whatever they block with because of the Death Touch. So getting into it today, here are our spiders in the deck. So we're starting off with Ishkanah Graf Widow. So when it enters, if there's 4 or more card types among cards in your graveyard, you get to make 3 more spiders, but she's really here for the second ability, which for 7 mana, you can make someone lose life for every spider you control. Hatchery Spider says that when you cast this spell, you can reveal the top X cards of your library, where X is the number of spiders in your graveyard, and you get to put a green permanent card, X or less, onto the battlefield. Pretty solid there. Grave Robber Spider for 4 mana can boost itself until end of turn, where the X is the number of creatures in your graveyard. You can only do that once. Glint Weaver says that when it enters, you get to distribute 3+1 counters among 1, 2, or 3 creatures, and then you gain life. Drider, really sick art here, this elf spider, but when it deals combat damage, you get to make another spider, and that one has menace and reach. Curse of Cleaning Webs isn't necessarily a spider, but it makes a spider. Once you, basically, it enchants the player, so you can enchant a player. And then when a non-token creature enchanted player controls dies, you exile it, and that's when you make the spider. Brood Weaver, when it dies, it creates a replacement spider. Blight Widow is our infect spider, so really, really solid there. Arasta of the Endless Web, every time someone's playing an instant or sorcery, you're making spiders. And then Arachnogenesis lets you create a bunch of spiders equal to the number of creatures attacking you, and then you get to prevent the damage from those attacking creatures. So ideally, if Shelob's out and you do this in response to declare attacks, you're going to make a bunch of blockers that all have Death Touch. You're going to be able to not only destroy the attacking creatures, but your spiders will live. Pretty solid. And then even more spiders in the deck. We got a couple of Spider-Man ones with Spider-Man, Brooklyn Visionary, and Spider-Ham, Peter Porker. So Brooklyn Visionary says that when it enters, you get to go find a basic land and put it on the field. A little bit of ramp there. And then Peter Porker creates a food, but he also boosts all of your other spiders by 1. Spinner of Souls says when another non-token creature you control dies, you get to reveal cards off the top until you find another creature, and then that goes to your hand. So kind of replenishing your hand if the spiders are dying. Spider Spawning lets you make 1 for each creature in your graveyard, and it has flashback. Skyfisher Spider says when it enters, you get to sack a creature, and when you do, you can destroy a non-land permanent, and when it dies, you gain life for every creature in your graveyard. And then we have the other Shelob as well. So Shelob Dread Weaver says that when a non-token creature an opponent controls dies, you exile it, and then you could pay mana to put those cards into their owner's graveyard to make Shelob bigger and draw, or you could put a target creature card exile that's X or less with Shelob onto the battlefield tapped under your control, so you can kind of take stuff from your opponents. Rot Widow Pack lets you exile creatures from your graveyard to make spiders. Penumbra Spider says that when it dies, it creates a 2/4 black creature spider with reach. Obelisk Spider says that when it deals combat damage, you get to put a -1 counter on a creature, and then when you do that, each opponent loses a life and you gain a life. And then Llanowar Green Widow, a Reach Trampler here, and for 8 mana, you can return it from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped, and it gains. If this permanent would leave the battlefield, you exile it instead of putting it anywhere else. This ability costs 1 less to activate for each basic land type among lands you control. And then finally, rounding us out, here are the rest of our spiders in the deck. So we have Watcher in the Web, which is just a spider that can block an additional 7 creatures each combat. Wild. Sporeweb Weaver says that when Sporeweb Weaver is dealt damage, you gain a life and create a Saproline creature. Twitching Doll is our mana dork, and every time that you tap it for mana, it gets a nest counter, and you could sack it to make a spider for each nest counter on it. Twin Silk Spider says that when it enters, you create a spider. Treetop Snare Spinner has reach and death touch on its own. You could put counters on a target creature you control as a sorcery. Silklash Spider does the same thing with the reach, but it also has an activated ability to do X to each creature with flying, so good removal there. Azoni, Center of the Web, not necessarily a spider, but when she enters the battlefield or attacks, you can collect evidence, and if you do that, you get to create spiders. You can also sack 4 tokens to surveil 2 and then draw 2 cards. Stinger Fleeing Spider, when it enters, it blows up a creature with flying, and then Deadly Recluse just has reach and death touch on its own. So lots of good stuff in the deck as well. You look upon the Tarask, says that you can either prevent all combat damage or you can boost a creature and give it indestructible. Swarm Yard lets you regenerate a spider. Wall Crawl says that when it enters, you get to create spiders, and then they have a boost and can't be blocked by creatures with Defender. Patriarch's Bidding lets you choose spider and bring them all back. The Swarm Weaver is another kind of artifact creature here, a scarecrow that says when it enters, you get to create some insects, and then as long as there are 4 or more card types, he's giving spiders a boost and death touch. It's kind of a backup plan to Shelob. Lolith Spider Queen makes spiders, lets you draw. When a creature you control dies, she gets loyalty counters. Is a really solid planeswalker for Spider Tribal. Terrifying Presence has a spider on it. That's why it's here, but it can stop combat damage. Beastmaster Ascension, when you're attacking, it's getting bigger on counters, and then once it has 7, all of your spiders are getting +5. Assault Formation deals with flyers as well. And then Finn, the Fangbearer, such a showstopper in this deck. If Shelob's giving them all Death Touch and those spiders are connecting, every time a creature with Death Touch deals damage, that opponent is getting 2 poison counters. So Finn can really end the game out of nowhere. Just super solid here. And then lots of draw in the deck. So there's these 2 cards in Golgari that care about creatures dying. So Death Reap Ritual says that at the beginning of each end step, if a creature died, you can draw. And then Moldervine Reclamation says that whenever a creature you control dies, you gain a life and draw. So just really, really solid enchantments to have consistent draw here. Realm Walker isn't necessarily draw, but it lets you look at the top cards, and if they're spiders, you can cast them. Lifecrafter's Bestiary, every time you cast, you can pay a green to draw. Read the Bones is letting you scry before you draw. Village Rites and Deadly Dispute want you to sack a creature to draw. Phyrexian Arena is giving you 1 at every upkeep. Night's Whisper for 2 life, you can draw 2. And then Beast Whisperer, every time you're casting a spider, you're drawing. And then even more draw on the deck. Vanquisher's Banner, if you're choosing spiders, every time you cast one, you're going to draw. And then there's the 3 kind of like staple ones for green with Shamanic Revelation, Rishkar's Expertise, and Return of the Wild Speaker. Shamanic Revelations let you draw for every creature you have and gain life if they're 4 or greater. Rishkar's let you draw based off of the greatest power, and then you can cast something that's 5 or less for free. And then Return of the Wild Speaker has a boost on it, or you can draw equal to the greatest power among creatures you control. And then we have a decent amount of removal in the deck, even though our spiders have Death Touch and they're probably going to do the work for us. We're running a Swarm Yard Massacre because it's a one-sided board wipe and your spiders will live. Eaten by Spiders is on theme. It destroys a creature with flying and all equipment attached to it. Super good. Spider Food lets you make a food after you blow something up. Putrefy is destroying artifacts or creatures. Beast Within is destroying a permanent. And then Arachnus Web, you're going to enchant a creature. It's going to basically passivism it. It's not going to be able to attack or block or do anything. And then at the beginning of the end step, if that power is 4 or greater, you destroy the web. And then finally, our mana in the decks, we are running a couple of rocks with Soul Ring and Arcane Signet, as well as Patchwork Banner, because Patchwork Banner lets you boost the spiders, as well as tap for mana of any color. We've got some ramp with Rampant Growth and Cultivate, and then Culling Ritual, I think, is one of the best cards for a Golgari deck. It blows up the board for every non-land permanent that's 2 or less, and then you get black or green mana for each permanent destroyed this way. Just a super, super solid card to get a bunch of mana out of nowhere. And with that, our show has come to an end. Thank you so much for watching our video, and if you enjoyed that video, feel free to share it out with any friends who might find value in it as well. Thank you so much for stopping by. We hope to see you again soon. Have a good one.